Hi there and welcome back into our sports locker. It's all been about the ball sports so far, be they circular or egg-shaped. So tonight we've gone for something which, in the eyes of many, really sorts the men out from the boys, albeit wearing lycra at the same time. We welcome the Gibraltar Triathlon Association. Guys, good evening and thanks for being here.
Evening, Paul.
We've got Andrew Gordon, we've got Chris Walker, Sean Randall and Chris Wall. Now, Chris, I've got a pact with the other guys that we can't just turn it into the Chris Walker show.
Absolutely
so,
right.
Yeah, are we under an understanding? Brilliant. OK. We've got loads to get through, including teammates and our competition at the end of the show as well. But here is a brief history of the Gibraltar Triathlon Association.
It's hard to quantify the numbers that have taken to triathlon over the past dozen or so years. The sport began on the rock with a few brave souls taking to the multi-event discipline with measured success at all forms, from Ironman to Olympic distance to sprint. Since then, Gibraltar's triathletes have competed on the international stage, participating at the Commonwealth Games and the Island Games, as well as taking on both the half and full Ironman distances across the globe. At the Island Games in Rhodes in 2007, Gibraltar sent 4 triathletes, with Chris Walker, a man synonymous with the sport on the rock, finishing in a creditable 5th place in the individual, while the team of Chris, Kevin Walsh and Edgar Harper finished in 6th place, with Gibraltar's only female competitor, Christine Haviland, in 15th in the ladies' event. Attracting to the sport hasn't been difficult, with Gibraltar sportsmen and women taking on the association's annual triathlon, which sees a reduced course of the 300-metre sea swim, a 10-kilometre bike ride and a 1.5-kilometre run. The event, which has taken place at either Western or Eastern Beach with the runway used for the cycle leg, was unfortunately cancelled this year. This event, which has been backed by NatWest Bank for numerous years, has always proved popular, with the Gibraltar Triathlon Association also holding mini triathlons for juniors and a team race for those on up to the perils of the 3 disciplines on their own. In more recent times, Gibraltar's triathletes have tested their mettle in Spain, where the sport has also taken off, with a now thriving circuit, with the association's athletes competing as the Hercules Club. Whilst the exploits of numerous individuals who've competed over the years has been well documented, last year and this have certainly proved the biggest success and highlight for the sport. Last summer, a team of 9 left the rock en route to the Island Games in Bermuda. Whilst individual success was their main aim, they also had their sights on team success. On the first morning of the Games, the Gibraltar triathletes, along with 30 or so others, dived into the waters of Clearwater Bay. The calibre of the field was high and Gibraltar's triathletes stuck to their task. All made it through the swim, however a puncture on the bike leg saw Andrew Gordon retire from the race. As the heat intensified, the cycling leg drew to a close and it was on to the run. Chris Walker crossed the line in 4th place, and then the wait was on for the next 2 Gibraltar athletes to complete the team event. They didn't have to wait long, with Richard Muscat finishing in 7th place, and Mark Francis drove through the pain barrier to finish in 11th spot, to give the team a combined time of 6 hours, 20 minutes and 55 seconds, just under 2 minutes ahead of the Orkneys. Team Gold for Team Gibraltar. Moving to this year, and the Commonwealth Games was high on the agenda, with Gibraltar represented by Chris Walker, Richard Muscat and Andrew Gordon. Unfortunately, the elite rules that were used saw just Chris able to finish. And the year would get even better for Chris, who, along with a solid season across the board, would finish the year as world champion, winning the 45 to 49 age group standard distance race at the World Championships in Edmonton, Canada. And he'd pick up a silver in the sprint distance as well just a few days earlier. With this and all the other successes across the board, triathlon is certainly in a healthy state, with the sport continuing to grow on the rock. The focus and attention for Gib's triathletes is now set on next year, with the aim to defend the team gold at the Island Games in Jersey in the summer.
Wow, well, it's been a recent but action-packed history nonetheless. And, you know, Chris, does that kind of, watching that BT, does it put it in perspective exactly how much has happened in the last 5 or 10 years?
No, it doesn't. It just shows what Chris has been doing for the last 10 years. But one of the things is that although we haven't been able to hold the Open Triathlon this year, until this year, we've had a growing number. Each year, it's the largest mass participation race in Gibraltar by a long way.
Yeah.
And really, on the club level, we get increasing numbers competing in Spain and so on for Hercules Club. And even at the Island Games level, we raised the bar for qualification for Bermuda. Yeah. This year, we've raised it further, and it looks like we've already got 8 people who've made the qualifying standard. So it just gets better and better, even measured against previous times.
You are, just for sake of clarification, you're wearing the Hercules Club T-shirts. There's only one club. You are the GCA, but you're also the club. But that's because there's only one club in the association. So how's that working?
Well, I mean, at the moment, there is only one club. As an association, we would love there to be more than one club. But the nature of the sport is that it's limited to the number of people that are participating in it. So we have one club, which is Hercules, and the club has existed ever since the association has existed back in 2000. Right? This is our 14th year. And every year we have raced as Hercules within the Andalusia circuit and have been welcomed and have never had any issues there. And that is really our bread and butter, and that enables people to get the motivation to keep the training because there are regular competitions for us to compete in.
But there could be another club, so you might end up with a local system like the Ludeans and the Calpeans in the road racing, where you have more than one.
I want to be in Chris's club.
You want to be? So do I. But you could end up with more than one team, and that would create local competition as well.
Yeah, but I mean, we have about 20 members, so we've got to be careful diluting too much. Yeah. But another club would be welcome.
I think the nature of triathlon anyway is that you're always racing each other. It's not. So wherever we go, well, like Chris said, in Andalusia, I think, you know, you're always racing. You're racing against each other and everyone there. So it's not, I mean, as long as we're together and we're a club, I mean.
Yeah. Paul, I should emphasise the reason why there's a club is because it's very important for national federations to keep a separation between the association and the club. In Gibraltar, what's happened, a lot of associations have developed into clubs. In triathlon, everyone who's been involved in organising has been in other sports, and we want to avoid any of the administrative problems you can get by setting out very clear separation between club and association. Yeah. So that's why we need both. But at the same time, we're quite open to newcomers.
I think there's enough rivalry within
you guys already, yeah.
But I mean, as an association, our role is the same as everybody else's role when you are responsible for a sport within a territory or a country, in that our focus is to develop the sport as much as possible. Yeah. So what we try to do is get as many people involved in the sport as possible, and the NatWest Triathlon is our main vehicle for doing that. And over the 14 years, we've been quite successful in doing that. I think triathlon, because you have to have an ability in the three different disciplines of the swimming, the bike and the run, it's never going to be a mass participation sport at a competitive level. But anyone that goes to any of the events that we participate in, right up to all of the distances, triathlon is genuinely an event for anybody. You do not have to be a sports person or be particularly brilliant at anything. All of the races that we do are applicable to every age, every gender, and every possible ability. And that's the message that we really try to get across, because sometimes it can be perceived that you've got to be really good at this to do it. And it's not the case at all. Obviously, at the sharp end of the sport, it's extremely competitive, but you take the whole race in total, 200, 300 people racing, and most of the races that we do, there's all abilities taking part.
Yeah. I want to talk about the successes you've had recently. Chris, we'll come on to your individual success a bit later on. But Bermuda last year, the gold medal, it was the opening day of the Island Games in Bermuda, and it really set the tone for what came afterwards, I suppose. It was a good games for Gibraltar, but to get that first medal on the board for Gibraltar must have been a tremendous achievement. Andrew, unfortunately, you had to retire, but you were still part of that winning dynamic. So how did that feel?
I mean, like we were just saying when we were running through it again, it was a fantastic setting. You couldn't have asked for a better setting for a triathlon, to be honest. My personal experience wasn't as good. You know, it was a tough cookie to swallow, but
it was a puncture, yeah?
It was a puncture, unfortunately. And, I mean, Chris breathed a sigh of relief, obviously. I'm joking. But, I mean...
Yeah, he was a bit too close for comfort. It was a bit too close. Fortunately, no one saw the little tacks I had in my bag here.
It was a great setting, and, you know, it's... Like you say, it was a great way to start.
And it was a very hot day as well. Tough conditions. It started very early and finished quite early because of the heat. But a great team effort, Chris. You finished fourth individually. Yeah. But you know the effort from people like Derek Barbara, Sigurd Haviland, all contributing to the team gold.
Yeah. I think I stressed the point when we were in Bermuda last year that, you know, we took a team of 10 athletes. Well, 9 eventually raced. Yeah. But and every person that was there was key to the gold medal performance, because whilst it's only the first 3 positions that count. And I said it in Bermuda last year. If the 9th fastest hadn't pushed the 8th fastest, and the 8th hadn't pushed the 7th, everybody's level improved because we were all trying to be as strong as we possibly could. And it starts right from the slowest, all right the way through. So, you know, it was great that everybody in the team quite rightly got the medals, because it was absolutely a team performance, not just a 3 that happened to finish in the top 3. Everybody's performance counted.
And that feeling, you know, on the podium, you've got the gold medal, the flag is flying, the national anthem is playing. How can you quantify, you know, what that means?
I think that it's sort of, as a team, it's a very different experience in the sport of triathlon, because it's very unique to that, because triathlon is, by its nature, a very individual sport.
Yeah.
And because of the time that we have to put into the training, it is a very selfish sport. So you have to be quite a selfish individual to really do as well as you possibly can, you know, with the amount of dedication you've got to give it.
But you also have some fun. We've got hold of a video that you guys recorded. Was this in Bermuda? You know, the one I'm talking about?
This was in our bedrooms.
In your bedrooms. Okay, this is the triathlon team in Bermuda last summer doing the Harlem Shake.
Con los terroristas.
Harlem Shake.
Very good. Who was the guy doing the dance at the beginning?
Good old Robert.
Robert Mato.
Robert Mato,
Yeah,
right.
You wouldn't have thought.
And who was it who had the legs going, doing a handstand with the legs?
Derek.
Yeah, that's
Derek Barbara. Yeah.
Multi-skilled here.
Yeah.
Sean, you unfortunately you just missed out on the Bermuda Games. So what was it like for you? I suppose a bit bittersweet, you know.
On the lead, I've been training very hard for about like everybody else for about 9 months. But on the lead up, I just wasn't making my best times, and I didn't know what it was. And in consultation with Andrew,
This is really funny, actually. I got a text on my way back from Turkey from a friend's wedding. Is on the airplane, Andrew, I'm coughing up blood. What shall I do? And I just text back, A and D. Go to hospital.
One of my last training sessions, I saw on the bicycle up to Jimena, where we were going to run afterwards. I was coughing blood. So I finished the training session, came home, and then went to A&E, and I was diagnosed with pneumonia. So I missed it. And I just didn't want to go.
Yeah. So you
about
must
2
be
weeks
feeling.
before.
Do you feel the need to you know, fight for another campaign and have your go?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to this one. I've already put a time in, hopefully. But as Chris said, you know, it's the standards this year have really improved.
Yeah. Well, lots to get through in part 2, including your World Championship success, Chris, and we're going to play teammates as well. So join us in part 2.
Robbery in progress. All cars in the area respond immediately.
Welcome back into our sports locker. Well, recently, Chris Walker won the won gold in the World Triathlon Grand Final in the 45 to 49 age group. We were talking there, Chris, about Bermuda. How does that success rank in comparison to Bermuda?
Bermuda was great because of the team spirit that we had, and we were all aware of the effort that we'd all put in, and we had a clear focus for Bermuda. Edmonton for the World Final was, it's difficult to describe what it was like. The racing was obviously very competitive, but the thrill I got from actually participating in the race at the front end of the race, fighting for the medals was fantastic.
And
Brilliant.
You're a world champion.
Yes, it's
That must sound quite good, Chris Walker, world champion.
I'm not going to lie, it is fantastic, and I don't make any apologies that I'm never going to let anyone forget it. But, I mean, for me, I think it's great because it reinforces the level that we've been participating, not just me, but people that have participated and competed against me. It reinforces the level that we are participating at. And it's very difficult in Gibraltar to get that, to understand that level, because, all different sports, you can't compare. But, we all think we compete at a reasonable level. But I think, having performed so strongly in Edmonton, at a World Championships where you've got the best athletes in the world, it obviously, for me, it puts a great finishing touch on all the effort that we've put in and I've put in over the last couple of years. Well,
many congratulations. You're not so young anymore, are you, Chris? Really, you're approaching 50 now.
Yeah.
So if Zimmer frames were to be introduced into triathlon, would you be doing it on a Zimmer frame?
Yeah, definitely. Really, I mean, I thrive on the competitiveness of the racing. I'm really competitive to a ridiculous level, as these guys know. I just, I'm very, so much so that on the bike I have to train by myself, because if I trained in a group, I would just be so competitive that it wouldn't be good for my training. So, I honestly believe that this year has been the peak. I can't see myself reaching the level that I hit in Edmonton again, partly because obviously it was Commonwealth year and all the focus that was put onto that. But there's no doubt that I will continue to train, and I'll continue to do as well as I possibly can.
Absolutely. Now, I was joking, by the way, about the partly semi. Right, there we have the big black phone on the wall. I think you know what's coming. We're going to see who's on the other end. Hello.
Hello, Paul.
Hi, who's this?
It's Richard.
Richard Lavagna?
Yes.
Hi, Richard.
Me.
How are you?
I'm not too bad. Yourself?
Very well. What's your question for our triathletes?
I do. I have a question for two athletes, actually. For Andrew Gordon and for Sean Randall.
Okay, go ahead.
Obviously, two ex-rowers. I was just wondering how, after making the change, how the actual training and preparation aspect of triathlon compares to that of rowing.
Okay, fair question. Guys?
So the rowing gave me the discipline to be able to train hard on triathlon. On the rowing, you wake up, you train on Saturdays and Sundays. You typically row at 7 or 8 in the morning. It's training every day. It's multi-sport training as well. You can jog, row, ergo, weights. So, passing all that on and all the knowledge I had gathered onto triathlon, and motivation as well. And how to I used to row with 3 other guys in a team of 4. So how to motivate them to perform. I think that I've passed that onto triathlon in bringing new people on board and motivating them to compete and so on.
Yeah, and Andrew?
I think Sean's exactly right. It brings on the discipline and commitment. The two things I think I'd add is, one, the difficulty I found is extrapolating your 6-minute rowing race that you really go hard on, extrapolating that to race for 2 hours and really push yourself for 2 hours is quite tough, I think. The other thing I think we always joke about, I always say with Sean, is when we see a flat piece of water, what would you do? What do you think of? Do you fancy rowing or swimming? Because nowadays we have to get in and swim.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, flowing down the river with like a nice pair or something, rowing in a pair would be just as nice, we feel.
I do miss rowing, but it's, triathlon's my new sport now.
Richard, thanks for your question, and hopefully the guys have answered it. I want to talk about preparation, training, dieting, and also the impact that all that has on your family. You know, Chris, you've been training very hard for many, many years. Are there times when, you know, you work so hard and you're so disciplined that it makes you grouchy, and that might even have an impact on the people around you?
There was someone who ran Gibraltar in Scotland who came up with this theory that you can only do two things well. So you can work well and train well, or you can work well and give your family some attention, but you can't do all three properly. So I think, unfortunately, this would be the question you'd have to ask Chris Walker, who has an important job. He has been our leading triathlete practically since we started, and he's also got 4 children. So how on earth you can do 3 things well is a great mystery.
Chris, you're Superman, really. I mean, how do you manage the training? Give us an indication of what your ordinary training week would be like.
Well, I think firstly, in reply to Chris's question, I think you have to have a supportive family behind you. You know, and my wife has been extremely supportive, and my success is in no means, you know, down to her and the effort that she puts in. But I think that one of the key factors is getting into a clear routine, a consistent routine with your training, and to try and, in my case, adapt it so that it's impacting as little as possible on the family. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in my case, my training is adapted so that, you know, I cycle early in the morning, I swim in my lunch hour, and, you know, I train again early evening. And then, you know, I tend to obviously train on a Saturday morning, but it's usually when my son's at rugby. And on Sunday, the deal I have is that I've got to be back by midday. So it means that I'm out of the door quite often at 6 in the morning to get in a 5-hour bike ride. Yeah. And then that's it. I think the difficulty is the competing. That's what really affects the family life more, because it's when we're travelling away. I mean, Commonwealth Games and Ireland Games are weeks. Yeah. And that's difficult. So it's a case of negotiating. It's a case of trying to get the balance right. I don't drink at all. You know, we tend not. I've got 4 children, so we tend not to go out. So it doesn't affect us in that degree.
But it's more than just a hobby. It's a lifestyle choice that you make in taking this on.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to be good, I guess.
I think you know, if you go in it with the view of I want to see what my full potential is and how good I could possibly be, then it is absolutely a lifestyle choice. Yeah. But that you don't have to do it to that level. You know, there is a participation element to it. There's a recreational element to it, and a lot of people do the sport at that level. And triathlon is for everybody. You know, I can't emphasize the point enough. It is about participating and enjoying it. And even if you don't have an ability in all 3 of the disciplines, whatever race you do, I can guarantee you that in one of the disciplines you'll have beaten somebody. Yeah. So there's always something positive to take out of it. And you can take it as far as you want to take it. I would say that with Sean coming on board a couple of years ago, and Andrew now coming through, we've got younger elements coming through, and we have got a lot more people involved in the sport. And it is dangerous because it hooks you massively, because it's such an enjoyable sport to do. So what tends to happen is people go in thinking, I'm just going to try it out because I think I'll quite enjoy it. But within a year,
they're bitten by the bargain.
They are into it, seriously into it. And that's great because, you know, it's great for the sport, but it is such a wonderful sport.
Yeah. Right, guys, it's time to, well, reveal what you said about each other on Teammates. Are we ready? Okay, this is Teammates starring our triathletes.
I would say that would be either Mark Francis or Robert Matto.
The person who trains the most has got to be Robert Matto. He's just an absolute animal. I've never seen anyone train as much as him and recover so quickly.
Robert Matto.
Fittest person in the team, without a doubt, is Chris Wall.
I would say that Robert Matto.
Team Joker, Sean Randall most probably. He's the one that winds us up the most.
Robert Matto.
Team Joker, who's not the Team Joker, Chris Walker, takes it very seriously. Team Joker, possibly myself.
The Team Joker, well, we've got a few. But Mark Francis?
I don't know. I would say, I don't know, Robert.
Don't tell him about Mark Francis. Very easy.
Easiest to wind up, Chris Walker.
Mark Francis, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt.
The easiest to wind up, probably myself.
Sean Randall.
Sean.
Chris Wall.
That would be myself. Sometimes I wear white socks with black trousers and leather shoes.
Mark Francis.
Training, probably Andrew.
Mark Francis, definitely. I mean, Mark Francis, if there's an accident waiting to happen, it's going to happen to him.
That's tough, actually. We all complain of our own injuries. I'd say maybe Mark Francis.
The Robert, because obviously he was the one who trains the most, so.
Most likely, this season, unfortunately, it's been Robert Mato with all the effort that he's been putting in.
Most likely to get injured, Roberts, I think. Robert Mato, actually Sean.
Sean Randall's probably got to take it. He's the only one that comes out with the face creams and the gel and everything else after the showers.
The longest in the shower, I know what you mean by that. That would be myself.
The pretty boy in the team? Oh, I don't know, probably Sean. I'll give that to Sean.
Pretty boy in the team? I would say Sigurd.
Rocco. Robert Mato.
Very good. Sean, face cream, white socks. What are you, Michael Jackson?
I'm 43, you know.
Still finding himself.
Very good. I think that's been the best teammates we've had so far. Right, time for our competition. And this was your question last week. It was all about the under-17 national football team. Who scored Gibraltar's first ever goal in a UEFA 11-a-side qualifying competition? The answer was George Wink. And the winner of the signed GFA T-shirt is Neil White. So well done to Neil. Congratulations. A T-shirt is coming your way. And this is a question for today. What does a triathlon consist of? I think that's a fairly simple question. What does a triathlon consist of? And send your answers into our email and all the Facebook and Twitter details are on your screen right now. And what are you guys going to give away?
We're going to give away one of our much sought-after Hercules Triathlon Club T-shirts.
Limited edition.
Yeah,
limited edition, yeah?
What about
One of them awards.
Yeah.
What about a Pinarello bike?
No, some of Chris's medals. He's got too many.
There's only about 25,000.
There's millions of those in eBay.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Chris, I just want to ask you, will the triathlon be coming back next year? We had a hiatus this year. Is it going to return in 2015?
Yes, absolutely. We will move several governments before not being allowed to do a triathlon.
Fighting talk, you heard it here first. Well, to Andrew, to Chris, to Sean, and to Chris, many thanks for being here. We'll see you again soon, hopefully. And to you at home for watching as well. We'll see you in 7 days' time.